Everybody, Mike Series here. I thought I'd add this capsule on training for the KvCore platform because in my personalized training, I've always said that this particular aspect is probably one of the most important things to understand about KvCore and how to use the system. And it's basically the definition of the statuses. So what I'd like to do today is go over the definition of the statuses as they relate to the KvCore platform so that you can more fully understand and when you're putting in your new contacts, how to put them in and properly appropriate where they go. So let's go to the dashboard. Let me show you where to look to see all the statuses in definition, okay? So you could either go to the CRM, but that's really not going to show you exactly where the status is and how they relate to the system. We're going to go down to business analytics here, and we're going to click on business analytics. And when the first page that comes up, it basically tells you what it is, right? It's your business analytics pipeline. This is the pipeline. The idea is that you want to fill up your pipeline, right? And then move people down the pipeline to the closing table. That's the goal. That's the idea. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what that all means and how they relate in the system. Now you can go to this agent success report over here, and this is basically the report that pops up. On a side note, this is important to make sure that you're doing all of these so that you want 4 green check marks and a completed agent success plan to properly understand what the system does and how you're working the system, okay? But here is where the definition of the statuses and the idea of the pipeline come into play, okay? So there are 8 potential statuses. You can see them right here, right? There's the sphere of influence, the prospect, the new lead, the active lead, the client lead, contract lead, closed lead, and the archived lead. Those are the 8 possible ways that you can status a contact in your CRM. And depending upon how you do that, the system will treat it a certain way. So you want to make sure that the system that you put them in, that they're properly statused so that the system will treat them the way you want them to be treated, okay? So let's look at these statuses. The 2 outlier statuses are the sphere of influence and the archived people, okay? Those are people that are kind of outside of your business pipeline. The sphere of influence obviously is your friends, your family, your neighbors, any business partners that you partner up with. For example, you have painters and roofers and landscapers and electricians and plumbers. All of those people should be in your CRM as sphere of influence because those are the people that hopefully, if you've done what you should be doing, they know that you're in the real estate business. And if they happen to come across anybody that might be thinking about buying or selling, those are the people that you're the one that that should want to be on the front of their mind when they're making their referrals. So that's the idea. Okay, most of your sphere of influence should be people that you feel will refer you business. Okay, because that's what this is. It's a business pipeline, right? The other piece of the sphere of influence is the other real estate agents, okay? You want other real estate agents in your sphere of influence because these are the people that are going to be like business partners to you. Hey, you might have a listing, they might have a buyer. You might have a buyer, they might have a listing, okay? And you want to make sure that you get your new listing out in a flyer out to those sphere of influence, right? So you use the system, email your business flyer or your new listing or your price change or whatever, your open house invite. And by that time, you're using the system, you're creating engagement within the system. So this thing turns green and stays green as long as you're emailing and using the system. So that's the sphere of influence. The archive people are basically people that are outside the system. They don't really have any movement at all. You've tried to contact them, or they're old leads that they're just not going to do anything. They might be years old, so they're archived. They're still not out of the way. You can possibly try to revive them by maybe once in a blue moon sending them a happy new year email or a happy 4th of July email or something that just keeps reminding them that you're in the business, right? The rest of the 6 statuses are your business pipeline, okay? That's your business pipeline. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down a little bit and I'm going to kind of try to work this to give you a better visual of, how this pipeline works on your behalf. So I've created a nice little sheet here to give you an idea of, there's your business pipeline. And the idea is you need to fill up your pipeline. So over here, here's the funnel that enters into your pipeline, right? So you've got leads, calls, follow-ups, conversion that hopefully results into the sales. But here's all your leads coming into, like the funnel, into your pipeline, moving down through the pipeline, and then boom, into a dollar bucket, right? That's the goal, right? So how do the people come into your pipeline? The way we have to look at it is two separate ways. We have to look at it as buyers, and we have to look at it as sellers, because they require a different treatment, right? Buyers and sellers require some different treatment. Renters, on the other hand, are more closely associated to buyers, and landlords on the outside are more closely related to sellers. So we'll just keep them in the background, but we're really looking at buyers and selling. So now, looking at just buyers for now, and how's the business pipeline work for buyers, right? We're looking at all your funnel, right? You're filling up your funnel, and basically all your new contacts, some way or the other, are going to come in as new leads or prospect leads, okay? So you got a new lead and a prospect lead. Those are the people that are going to be your basic funnel, filling up your pipeline. And then the idea is you're going to market yourself to those people, okay? And then once you market yourself to those people, you're going to try and activate them to move them down the pipeline to the closing table. So then what is the definition of these leads? What is the definition of all of these new statuses that we're talking about? So in terms of a buyer, right? In terms of a buyer, the prospect lead is right here. The prospect lead is that you have their information, you have their name, you have their phone number, you have their email address, or at least some piece of that. And then the idea is that they have no idea what they're looking for, okay? They have no idea when they might want to buy, and they're also don't really have no idea where they want to go. Any one of those three classes would define a prospect lead. In other words, they're out there, they don't really have any sense of urgency, there's really no direction, but you're going to keep them in that pipeline. You're going to market yourself to them so that at some point, the goal is to reactivate them, right? So then moving on to the new lead, that on the other hand, a new lead status is coming off of a specific property. So in other words, a new lead could be coming off of maybe a landing or a squeeze page that you posted on some social media platform. They can come in from your open house because they came in from a specific open house. They could have called on a specific property. For example, they could have driven up to you in the front of your new listing, and and then maybe called you off of the sign saying, listen, I'm sitting in front of the house. Can you give me some information about it, right? Or they could be referred by someone else in your sphere of influence, in your your friends, your family, your neighbors, that kind of stuff. So those are all new leads. Hey, John just just told me he's looking to buy a house. Why don't you give him a call? That type of thing, right? So those are all new leads. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to churn these new leads, funnel all of them into your pipeline, and then you're going to market yourself to them. Now, what do I mean by marketing yourself? You're going to market yourself by sending out emails, interesting emails, texts. You're going to call them, and you're going to send them listings through the system. And the idea is they click on those listings. That's called an engagement. All of those things are engaging with your prospective prospects and new leads. And the idea is that you want to get them to start moving down the pipeline. So what's the definition? What's the goal of marketing yourself? The whole goal, right, of marketing yourself to those new lead buyers and those prospect buyers is to get them to say one thing to you. Give me listings, send me listings. So in other words, the goal of the conversation when you're following up, or the goal of the campaigns when you apply them properly, is to say, if you don't like the property that we were looking at, right, because the new lead came in off of a specific property, or the prospect lead is finally ready to start looking, what you want to do is offer to send them additional listings. Hey, I have other properties in mind I think you might be interested in. How about if I send those to you? As soon as they say, yes, send me more listings, or as they ask for more listings and give you their criteria, you move them from the new lead or the prospect lead category, and you'll move them into the active lead category. Okay, that's the definition of an active lead buyer. They are getting listings. Now, you're going to follow up with that active lead buyer, and the follow-up call is going to be very simple, right? The follow-up call is going to be, hey, did you like anything I sent you last week? And hopefully the answer is, yeah, you know what, last house you sent me, I want to go see it. As soon as they say, I want to go see houses, okay, you move them from the active lead to the client lead, okay? So the definition of a client lead is not only are they seeing houses with you, but they're also still receiving those automated listings because, hey, who knows? The house that they've seen, they might not like, right? So then the idea is you're going to follow up with your client leads. And when you see the status of client lead next to your buyer, okay, you know that they've seen houses with you, right? Very simple. So the follow-up call is, hey, not only did you like anything I sent you, but do you like anything we saw? Okay, so yeah, I like that last house we saw, I want to make an offer. So obviously, if they make an offer, right, it gets accepted and you go under contract, you just move that from the client lead to the contract lead. Very simple, right? And then what do you want to do? You want to close that contract lead, right? So that's how you move the buyers down the pipeline, right? Now, there are a few caveats to what you do with those people, but I'm not going to cover that in this video. Just understand the definition of the statuses is good enough right now. Okay, so now let's talk about sellers. Okay, sellers are a little bit different, right? The sellers, you can have the prospect seller and a new lead seller. Now, that's pretty much the same thing as the buyers, right? The prospect seller doesn't have a direction. They don't know when they want to sell. They don't know where they want to go, right? So it's pretty much the same type as the buyer prospect. However, a seller prospect might have talked to you and said something like, hey, you know what? I might be interested in selling when Katie graduates high school, or when my daughter has her baby, or sometime maybe in the future I might be interested in selling. That's where they have no time frame and they have no idea where they want to go. So those are a prospect lead. The new lead seller, on the other hand, has probably come off of some kind of advertisement that you've probably seen yourself and you can do yourself on the social media platform. For example, you've probably seen those things where it says, hey, what's your home? Want to know what your home is worth? Click here to find out, right? That's exactly what you can do, and that's exactly what a new lead seller would do, right? They're a little more hot and heavy, okay, because those people are the ones that are interested in what their house is worth. There, you got to believe that those people are a little more interested in selling than the ones that have no idea or might be thinking of selling when the daughter has a baby. They might want to move to Georgia. Who knows what they're going to do, right? So that's the new lead. Now, the goal, the same thing as the prospect, the buyers, is to market to the new lead sellers for the sole purpose. It's a little different than the buyers. The buyers, remember, all that is just receiving automated listings. The sellers is, hey, come over and take a look at my house, right? So that's your conversation. That's the goal. You want to get into the house, right? That's the first step. So you get to the house. As soon as they say, come on over, take a look, you move them from the new lead or the prospect lead to the active lead seller. Then you go over, you take a look, you're taking your pictures, you're talking to people, right? As soon as they say, you do your portfolio presentation, they like you, they want to sign with you. As soon as they sign that listing agreement, they're your client now, right? And then obviously you're going to wait or try to find the buyer for that person. As soon as they get under contract, they're now contract lead. And then the goal is to close the property. Little more straightforward in the seller side than the buyer side, but the sellers are a little bit more simple. You can virtually see the goal in the seller. So that's basically the pipeline. I'm going to do a part 2 of this so that I can get more in depth on what to do when certain things happen. But unfortunately, on these YouTube videos, I only have a 15-minute window, and we are up to 15 minutes now. So thank you for listening. If you have any questions, you know where to call me. So give me a call anytime, okay? And I can answer those questions. Thanks, and I will start part 2 very soon. Thanks again. Bye-bye.